We got streams to watch. Want awesome Pokemon experiences and fails live? Follow me with notifications on over on Twitch to join me and others on great Pokemon adventures. I also have a Pokemon Crystal randomized Nuzlocke over on Mystical Gaming going on. Links will be in the description below. Man, I really have to stop taking these extended breaks between each worst team release. I'm sorry guys, there's just a lot of different content I've been wanting to try, so I appreciate you being patient with me. Anyways, as you can tell by the title of the video, we're finally going to be tackling the worst team for Kalos. It also really didn't help that X and Y are some of my least favorite sets of games, so creating a miserable team for it didn't sound particularly fun. Nonetheless, I hope you all enjoyed the team I'm giving you today. As always, before we hop into this team though, let me explain to those of you who are new to the worst team series on how it will be built. Essentially, the worst team is a team of the worst Pokemon, this time being set in the region of Kalos. It's not going to have 6 Scatterbug or anything like that. It'll be a team that is bad, but can still have a shot at actually beating the games. It'll challenge you, but it won't be impossible to beat by any means. If it sucks and it makes you hate life, then good, I've succeeded. As always, I will be providing a moveset for these Pokemon that include TM moves, but will not include post-game tutor moves or egg moves. We will be going over all of the important battles that these Pokemon can try their best against. Those important trainers consist of all the gym leaders, Elite Four members, champion, rival, and the evil team leaders. I think you all get it by now, so let's begrudgingly jump into this awful team. Now we get started here with a Pokemon that under normal circumstances isn't all that bad. As we always try to accomplish with these teams, I included the regional rodent as a starter Pokemon, and in this case, it's Diggersby. The thing about Diggersby is that it holds potential to be the best of the regional rodents, sort of by far, and that is no small feat. However, the thing that it has, which allows me to speak so highly of it, is its hidden ability, Huge Power. And we don't really operate making these teams using Pokemon's hidden abilities, so instead, it would either have Cheek Pouch or Pickup. Diggersby at least has a pretty nice duo of stab typings in normal and ground, so it's going to be able to get the most out of great moves like Earthquake in return. You'll be able to find a Bunnelby right on Route 2 when you start your adventure. Diggersby is probably the best Pokemon on the team, but it is a worst team, so I guess at the end of the day, that isn't saying a whole lot. The moveset Diggersby has for this worst team is Earthquake, Return, Strength, and Brick Break. So Earthquake is a move you'll be able to learn by level up LL 57, which is a long way away, and probably a level you wouldn't hit until close to the end of your gym challenge. The alternative as you play through is to use Bulldoze, which is a TM you can buy at the South Boulevard Lumia City Pokemart for 10k. The next move is Return, which can be found on Route 4, and considering how often you'll probably use Diggersby at the start, that friendship should grow pretty rapidly. The next move is the HM Strength, which while being an HM, that isn't exactly necessary to have on one of your main Pokemon, but nonetheless it is still a nice stab move for Diggersby to have alongside Return. Finally there is Brick Break, which is a great move you'll find as a TM in Terminus Cave in the later game. So if you want, you can run Power Up Punch, which you get right after you defeat Corina. So with these moves, Diggersby can do well against both the Grant's Pokemon, Clement's whole team, Wolfric's whole team, but you should certainly be careful, Lysander's Pyroar, Serena's Delphox, Jolteon, and Absol, all of Malvis Pokemon except Talonflame, Seabold's Barbaracle but be careful, Wickstrom's whole team, Drazna's Dragalge, and finally Dianthus Tyrantrum and Aurorus. The next Pokemon on this team is our token water Pokemon, and for this playthrough, I ended up deducting that Luvdisc is indeed the worst water type available in X and Y, and thus was on the fast track to joining this team. I originally thought about including Golduck for this one, because you can get a Psyduck before you actually get a Luvdisc, but not too much earlier. Instead, you can get a Luvdisc in Amberit Town, where you get the Old Rod, and from there, you can use it to your heart's content. Its stats are incredibly awful, but it does have some great speed, so at the very least, you'll have a somewhat fast Pokemon to turn to throughout your journey that can use both Surf and Waterfall to help you on your adventure to some success. The moveset Luvdisc has for this worst team is Surf, Waterfall, Scald, and Ice Beam. So this is a really water move heavy set, and quite frankly, this is as good as it can be for Luvdisc. Its move pool is so extremely limited, and that at least makes sense considering it really stinks. The Surf HM is obtained from your rival after you defeat Corina, and the Waterfall HM is obtained from Shauna on Route 18 after a series of battles. The other water type move on this set is Scald, and you can get that in Corway Town, which is actually even later than when you get Surf. So you'll want to use Water Pulse up until you get your hands on Surf, and then from there, just try to swim on through the game until you get Scald and Waterfall. Finally, there is Ice Beam, which you get by defeating the final gym leader, Wolfric. I don't really have any options for Luvdisc prior to getting this full moveset outside of Water Pulse. It really is that bad. Though I guess once that set is all made, you have some sort of competent water type. Alright, with these moves, Luvdisc can do well against Gransom Mora, Lysander's Pyroar, Serena's Altaria and Delphox, Malva's whole team, Drazna's whole team, and finally Dianthus Holucha, Gudra, Aurorus, and Gorgeist. I guess that while Luvdisc is so bad and pretty useless for the entirety of your gym challenge, it does seem to be a big help during the Elite Four and Champions battle in a pretty big way. The next Pokemon on the team is our Flyer, and yet another pretty bad Pokemon with great speed, the courting Pokemon, Swoobat. Swoobat is so very bad, and it made perfect sense to include it on a worse team like this. When you have great flyers like Talonflame, Holucha, and Staraptor, I don't even understand how Swoobat could get into this game, because all three of those Pokemon I mentioned outclass it. But anyway, you can find Woobat early on in Reflection Cave, and eventually it'll evolve with High Friendship included. Swoobat has a pretty decent ability, funny enough, being unaware, which will ignore the setup of other Pokemon when attacking. Aside from a good speed stat and a decent ability, it really is just super awful. And I'm actually kind of glad it can be a flyer, because if not, it would have been even more miserable to include this one. The moveset Swoobat has for this worst team is Fly, Air Slash, Psychic, and Shadow Ball. You'll be able to get your hands on Fly in Comarine City, and you'll also need the gym badge from that city to use it, so it works out relatively well. The next move is Air Slash, which would probably be the flying type move you'd most want to use in battle of Swoobat, and it can be learned via level up at level 32. While you wait to get to the point of having either Fly or Air Slash though, I'd suggest running Air Cutter, which you get at level 21. Psychic is next, and Swoobat will learn that at level 41, which should come a while before you can actually find the TM in the Pokemon Village. You'll have access to Confusion and Heart Stamp beforehand, so use whichever one of those you prefer while waiting for Psychic. Finally, there is Shadow Ball, which you can find in Terminus Cave in the late game, and in the meantime, while you wait to get your hands on that, I suggest running Assurance or perhaps Calm Mind. With these moves, Swoobat can do well against Ramos' whole team, Wolfric's Obama Snow but be careful, Lysander's Mienshao, Serena's Meowstic and Delphox, Wickstrom's Aegislash, Drazna's Dragalge, and finally Dianthus Holucha, Gorgeist, and Gardevoir. The next Pokemon on this team is a Grass-type representative, and a good attacker with nothing else going for it. Gen 4's Carnivine. Like I said, the thing about Carnivine is that it's a good attacker, with 100 base attack and 90 base special attack. But its speed is abysmal at 46, and its defenses at base 72 just are so lackluster, providing it with little to no bulk alongside 74 base HP. Though I must say, the absolute worst part of Carnivine is its move pool. It's been some time since I've seen a Pokemon with as bad as one as it has in the 6th generation. But with less than 15 moves it learns by level up, and a very small pool of TMs, gives Carnivine the cake here. You'll be able to find Carnivine on Route 14 after you finish up with the Lumio City Gym, which makes it probably one of the last Pokemon you catch for this team. The moveset that Carnivine has for this worst team is Swords Dance, Power Whip, Crunch, and Toxic. Swords Dance is going to be able to help make Carnivine a better attacker, improving upon the only thing that's really good about it. You can buy Swords Dance at the Lumio City Southern Pokemart, so it's something you'll be able to get your hands on rather early. The next move is Power Whip, and that will be learned at level 50, and is actually the last move Carnivine gets by level up. You'll need other Grass-type moves to use until then, so I suggest using Leaf Tornado and Vine Whip until then. The next move is Crunch, and that will be learned at level 41, and serve as nice Dark-type coverage for a Pokemon that otherwise is a bit useless outside of its Grass typing. It's actually the only other really decent attacking move that Carnivine gets, so it made a lot of sense to just keep it on here. You won't have a great moveset when you get this Pokemon, but until you can have Crunch, I'd suggest just running with the Grass-type moves. Finally, there is Toxic, a move that you may as well use since there just aren't many other better moves that could be useful. You'll get the TM for it on Route 14, right when you capture Carnivine in the first place. With these moves, Carnivine can do well against Olympia's whole team, Serena's Meowstic and Delphox but be cautious with the latter, Seabolt's whole team sans the Gyarados, Wickstrom's Aegislash, and finally Dianthus Aurorus and Gorgeist. Carnivine is yet another Pokemon that will really come through for you in the late game against certain trainers, just like Luvdisc. The next Pokemon on this team is one that has been featured on worse teams in the past, the Rock and Fire type Magcargo. Magcargo is really not that good, with just a rock-solid defense stat like most Rock-type Pokemon tend to have. You'll be able to find a Slugma at the Kalos Power Plant and need to use Rock Smash in order to actually find it. Once you've got Slugma, it'll eventually evolve at level 38 into Magcargo. And from there, you've got yourself a little bit of physical bulk, but yet another Pokemon that is just super slow. Though it is a snail, so what can you really expect? The moves that Magcargo has for this worst team are Flamethrower, Stone Edge, Gyro Ball, and Shell Smash. So Flamethrower will be learned to level 59, which you'll probably get to by the time you're ready to battle Wolfric. though it is possible to get the TM for it in Anastar City between 11 AM and 5:59 PM at the Pokemon Center from a Hexmaniac. Now until you get Flamethrower, you'll want to use moves like Flame Burst or Lava Plume until then. The next move is Stone Edge, and that can be gotten by using Surf and Waterfall in the Frost Cavern area. And that of course will not be able to be obtained until after you defeat Wolfric, so you'll need to do some back training. You should use Rock Slide until you're able to get that Stone Edge TM, and thankfully, that will be a great fill-in for the most part. The next move is Gyro Ball, which you'll find is a TM way before you get a Slugma and Reflection Cave. It'll be a good move to use for coverage for a while, since Magcargo has such awful speed. But with this final move being Shell Smash, which is learned upon evolving into Magcargo, its speed will double, along with its special attack and attack at the expense of its defenses. So Gyro Ball may lose a little bit of power if Magcargo starts outspeeding anything. With these moves, Magcargo can do well against Clement's Magneton, Valerie's entire team, Olympia's Sigilith, Wolfric's entire team, Lysander's Honchkrow and Gyarados, but gosh be cautious, Serena's Altaria and Delphox, Malva's entire team, Seabolt's Gyarados, Wixstrom's entire team except for Probopass, Dresna's Altaria and Noivern, and finally Diantha's Auroras, Gourgeist, and Gardevoir. It's pretty wild, but from the point you get your hands on a Slugma and eventually have Magcargo, it'll actually play a part in every important battle you have from that point on. There is a case to be made here that Magcargo is the most useful Pokemon on this team, and that's a pretty funny thought. We now reach the final Pokemon on this team, and it is the prime response to fairy types out there, and also a Pokemon that offers us a bit of coverage, Arbok. Arbok can be found as an Ekans on Route 14 in Horde encounters, so you'll perhaps be looking for it at the same time you're trying to find Carnivine. Arbok is of course not very good, and that's the natural course of things on a worse team. But man, is Arbok almost Luvdisc levels of bad. It has an 85 base attack stat, 80 base speed, and 79 base special defense, with the other stats being very lackluster. Alright, maybe calling it almost Luvdisc levels of bad was a bit of a mean thing to say, but it's still pretty awful. Ekans evolves into Arbok at level 22, so you'll be able to quickly evolve it after the initial capture and get going. So the moveset for our final Pokemon on this worst team is Ice Fang, Thunder Fang, a choice between Gunk Shot or Poison Jab, and Coil. Ice Fang and Thunder Fang are both moves that you'll need to visit the Mover Learner in Denimill Town to get back on Arbok. And of course for them, you'll need some hard skills. You can get hard skills in a few different ways, the most notable being on Route 8, where there are a few that will sometimes respawn, and also they can be found on Wild Luvdisc. Both of them are great for coverage, especially that they're Thunder Fang. The next move here is the choice for you guys, being Poison Jab or Gunk Shot. You can purchase Poison Jab from the Shallow City Pokemart, and if you want accuracy over power, I'd suggest holding on to it. However, by the time you're taking on the Elite Four, you'll have the chance to learn Gunk Shot, which is even stronger than Poison Jab, so it's also a pretty good option. Finally, there is Coil, which is learned at level 56, and can raise Arbok's attack, defense, and accuracy by a stage, which should really help out with using Gunk Shot. So with these moves, Arbok can do well against Valeria's whole team, but watch out for Mr. Mime, Olympia's Sigilith and Slowking, but of course be careful, Wolfric's Abomasnow, Lysander's Honchkrow and Gyarados, Serena's Altaria, Malva's Talonflame, Seabolt's whole team, Drazna's whole team, and finally Diantha's entire team except for Auroras. Arbok is going to be a massive help with its coverage in the championship battle, especially if you get a Coil or two set up. So, that's it. That's the worst team for Kalos, and I feel it's most certainly a bad one, but also one that can still make it through the region. As you guys probably can tell from this one, you don't get a lot of support in the first couple of gyms, but from Ramos on, this team will start seeing type advantages come into play a lot more. Let me know what you guys think though in the comments below about this team. I'll be looking out for what you have to say. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream all sorts of games from Pokemon to Fire Emblem to Zelda and much more. I also have an anime channel called MysticSage, where I do anime reviews, rankings, and countdowns. So if you're interested in that kind of content, go ahead and check that out as well. If you want to support me even further and gain cool perks, check out my Patreon. These lovely people have all given me their support over there, and I couldn't be more grateful to them. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mystic Umbreon, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.